This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is a live market recap or chat for Monday, October 10th, 2022. I'm going to start the timer. If you're watching this on later on, go to approximately the 6 minute and change mark. I'm going to let people come on in to let you know this is going to be basically an open chat. I'm going to review a lot of the stocks in the market, but I want to go over a lot of things I've been watching and just kind of give people a recap. I listened to the Livermore book again. I ended up staying in my investment properties fence. Took about, 5 hours each day. And I listened to the whole book, and it's just amazing how that book, every time you listen to it, something pops up that just gets in your head. So I'm going to give it a second. Let me sip on some coffee. Mic check. Everyone can hear me. We're good. Mic check, 1, 2, what is this? Wow. Interesting market. Not that something that we haven't seen before, but man, if Curran's around, I want to give him credit for what he noticed with oil service, oil in general, and the market, and the May repeating pattern potentially. James, I feel the same thing, buddy. I think it is because I'm looking at Apple and I'm like, even the crappy app, semis are obviously taking a beating because of the China news, but even Apple's green. I'm 99.9% sure this market will close green. Hence why I bought SPY. I bought some SPY near the lows. Tried to get under 360 best possible. We'll review all that stuff. I mean, even, was it First Solar down $2 now? What else was, let me pull up I added some new watch lists. Because a lot of people were talking about, maybe you can see the screen. Let me see if I can get it. Just give me a second while we're messing around. Is it this one? Nope, that's is this one? Nope, it's not that one. That one? Nope. That one? Nope, not that one. Anyway, I added a whole commodity list taken from Mike's list just to have and go over, and it's funny how you listen to the Livermore book as I was, and just talking about how even in a bear market, bull market, as the things start to flip, the leadership narrows. Well, it's very clear there's very few leaders, but those very few leaders seem to be holding up and acting pretty dang well. And the irony is, not even irony, it's what we talked about. It's always been commodities comes out of this bull market to bear market to the next bull market. We've talked about that. So I got a list, man. The list is like 100 different commodity names. I got to go through all their balance sheets and go through everything, but I'll do that in time. I think, again, news alert, I am opening up the Discord board. If you saw that one screen, it was Lupus giving me just one link. There's one active link for invites. It will not be handed out generously. I would appreciate if people who want to get in the Discord room show why. Explain to me your story. How can I help you? What are you working on? What are the things you need to, are you trying to get out of this? Remember, this room is not just a Jim Cramer-esque type room where you come in and you just annoy the crap out of people by asking questions that you don't know the answer to or haven't looked up yourself personally, and you're just going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? No, the goal is to, everybody's independently. No one's responsible for your own trades. And trust me, you don't want anyone to be responsible. The goal is to be your own master. And by being your own master, what does that mean, right? You have the power. You take all of the action. You do not rely on anybody for your results. You might now tail people. No, I do that sometimes too, but I'm not ever going to say it's your fault, this person's fault, whatever. That makes sense. Anyway, any quick questions before I hit the start button again? watching, remember, got into Boyle, got kicked out, got back in near 51, added J Nug this morning near 26, got as much SPY as I could under 359 or 360, added EQT on the dips, buying natural gas on the dips, bought CF on the dips. Ooh, wow. A lot of stuff. BPR and Devon. I mean, I'm familiar with Devon. Let me check that one out. Up on nice volume, pulling back on light volume. It looks like I would be watching this. You can tell like the 70 area. This is a nice move. Consolidation. I mean, if this is like the May move, you might get a couple day consolidation and then go. But don't be surprised. Look, it gets up into the 75 to 73 area and it finds sellers, right? Backs off. If you want to see the back off with light volume. We'll talk about this some more in a second. So, and this alarm. All right. This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka Trading Agent, and this is your live market recap for Monday, October 10th, 2022. Hopefully everyone's doing well. If you skipped ahead, going to talk about a lot of things today. The trades that I'm in, adding the dips on a lot of stuff, anticipation of what's to come, and just go over names as people see fit. I appreciate everybody, the love and support, super chats, donations, just appreciating the knowledge, because again, I give it away for free. I believe that there's no competition when it comes to knowledge, in the sense of if you're willing to help others and share, it comes back, the give to receive kind of thing. So I appreciate all the love and support. On that note, let's get into it. Give me a minute. I just want to recap some of the things I'm looking at, and then we'll get into some of the individual questions. So SPY, talked about it this morning in the Discord room. Said, watch what happens below 360. Comes down. I mean, I was watching the 10-minute, and now again, the 10-minute is my primary trading avenue. The volume is dirt. I mean, the volume is absolute dirt when it got down into the 390s. And I said, all right, well, low volume on a retest means what? Lack of conviction. Here you come. Comes on down. You can see it on the daily. Doesn't drop. It holds up pretty well. So bought some SPY stuff under the 360. Bought a little stock. Bought a little bit of options for next week dated for the 360. We'll see what happens. Not really... Again, as for listening to Livermore book again, as I was standing my fence, trying to stay pretty neutral here. The stop-start line for bears and bulls is what? It's obviously this 360 area. You got to take out the lows. I personally think it's looking much more like the May scenario, because we talked about how oil and gas were acting. For market to implode, you need all sectors to start taking the what? Jumping off the cliff. And with the VIX up in the 30s, you're right on the precipice. I'd like to see what happens in this 33 level. Let me zoom in. You can probably see on a shorter dated, like, watch this area, right? If it breaks above it, market should tank. Adios, amigos. Sure, whatever. If it holds or it folds, I still somehow think we're going to fill this gap below. I don't know how, don't know when. It just seems logical that everybody's bearish. I don't know. Did you guys see the rolling nominal amount of puts out there extending in the markets? Like trillions of dollars worth of puts going into the OPEX in October. I'm like, whew, market maker going to be working extra hard to get the market to pop, potentially. We'll see. Let's talk about some of the trades put on today. So we talked about the SPY. You saw that. Let me go into the GDXJ, because I bought some JNUG. All right, so it pops up, took profits near the highs, said watch for the retest of the 32s. Now you're back at the 20-day. Now, not every time is a 20-day support, but it filled the gap here in the mid-29s. And I just said to myself, I'm like, man, this is actually decent volume coming off the lows, right? Like none of the other times did, right? The only time, I mean, you really, I guess here... Yeah, not even as much. I mean, I still think this is the best. This is showing the first birthing pain. I just said to my mom, like, watch, fill the gap 20-day. Keep it real simple. Again, I don't chart the JNUG. If you ever ask me about charting triple leverage ETFs, my answer is always the same. I just don't. They don't matter. So, took a stab. JNUG is now 26.79, whatever. Looks all right. I mean, for $1, I'll put a stop in and buy that. CF, I mean, I sold all of mine last week and I was like itching to rebuy. I just said the 104s. It was the zone of resistance support, and honestly, you can see it right in here. It didn't matter in the sense of that I just wanted to buy the dip. Now I know that might sound emotional, but the way it's acting, it feels like it's going back to fill this gap at 114. And again, when I was listening to Livermore book, it made me really reflect on the leaders. Do not buy. I mean, you can trade tech, but I don't trust tech. I trust commodities. And when I see CF nowhere near the June or July lows, what is that telling you? Strength. So it pulls back. Here it goes. Here it goes. Higher highs. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm anticipating 113. I mean, maybe. I don't know. You never know with this kind of market. It's kind of crazy. Nat gas. Playing games with my heart. Nah, I mean, dude, this thing is always nuts. Tried to buy a little bit at 23.50. What was it? No, 23. Whatever, 23.30. I think. I'm trying to think about the numbers. I have so many numbers running through my head. Point being is I bought a little through Boyle, and Boyle was at 53. I guess that's technically where's UND? Yeah, probably around 53 because Boyle's at 52.80 right now. Stopped out for $1. Then I said, all right, well, let's watch the lows from yesterday, Friday, whatever. Think, holding. 200-day, I mean, this is the thing. It feels very reminiscent of what? Like this pattern here where it tried to get below the 200, chopped, and then went. I personally believe that as it gets colder, all of a sudden it's going to seem a lot easier to see natural gas rise. The stuff in Europe and Ukraine, whatever, they need gas. We got gas. I got mucus because of my nose. Point being, I think this is going to pop. It's holding up decently well. Natural gas is always tough, right? It gets extremely volatile. And sometimes you don't know why. The why is just very insignificant at times. But we do realize what? Gas is needed, demand as it gets colder. Investment supplies have always been an issue since the most recent administration. If commodities are leading, is nat gas going to catch up? I anticipate it will. Oil, we've talked about this. Let me see if I can find. I'd rather look at the future. Coming into the 93s, we told you this would probably be the upside. Well, guess what? Let's see what happens here. I mean, high and tight is not bearish. So if you get back into this range, you could play this all sorts of ways in your mind, how you want to think it's going to play out. Let's draw some fibs since people are watching this live. I hate trading view. Where's Fibonacci? Retracement. Oh, it's right there. Okay, you're at the 0.382. It's interesting. I mean, you could get up to the mid 100s. It seems, this is the thing, right? Shorting leaders as the market is rising or holding up, be careful. Now, if you were shorting tech, that made sense, right? Shorting these names, I'm not there yet. People are like, oh, look at Drip at 13 or 14. 14, oh, it always fails at 15. Well, please don't know. Play Gush. Okay, maybe. Again, I think oil and gas is leading up. It feels very reminiscent of the May move, right? Because if you go look at XOP, some of y'all who tried to short this, as I did, look what it did in May into June. I mean, it went 125 up to 170. Here we are. Oh, but it hits the 140s. It's failing, Dan. I mean, 2 days of pullback. I mean, you just had freaking pretty strong move. Holding up high and tight isn't bearish. Just remember that. Until it breaks levels and makes lower lows. Now, technically, you see lower lows, lower highs, right? That's normal. Sometimes that happens here in an uptrend, right? Sometimes. So, to me, I think you need to watch how oil and gas, I mean, you have to look at it all. This is the hardest thing about people who trade with one screen in a vacuum. They're looking at the XOP and they go, well, I'll just look at it all technically. And it's like, well, no, hold on. You got to look at gas. You got to look at oil. You got to look at the market. What have we talked about? If the market's holding up, are oil service going to hold up? Because I think people are hiding in this, which, again, there's nothing safe in the next leg of the bear market. We're not going to dilly-dally on that. Dilly-dilly. We're not going to change on that. That's just the reality. So you watch the XOP. Looks pretty solid. EQT, I've been screaming, buy this on dips. Got back to 43. It's holding the 100-day. I expect it to get up to at least 47, 48. Maybe it gets back to 50 again. Much better. Got added to the mid-cap S&P 500. I'm about 99% sure. Could be wrong, which what ETF is added to. Held the lows. 8-day caught up. If natural gas is going higher, I mean, I don't need to be a rocket therapist or philanthropist or rocket psychologist. I mean, the rocket could be coming. We'll see what happens. Any questions now? Because I'm going to open up. Man, look at Apple positive. Tesla's green. Netflix is green. MicroStrategy. It's the semis that are getting smoked. And I've said this, that you got to watch SMH. Let me just pull this over. It's at the 50-month. You got to hold it. We'll see what happens. Pretty wide open in the sense of, if you're watching, what is that? SMH, yeah. The SPY. It just feels very reminiscent of that May move. It came down, looked like it came down pretty fast. You had these little jumps. You had this little jump. You made a slightly lower low, whatever. It doesn't have to be exact. And then it had a nice little rip up. Going into the midterm election, the scream for the Feds to pivot. Bank of England doing. Again, longer term, I think the bear market is not anywhere over. It could be a prolonged one. That's where the thing is, like, traders are going to trade. But this is going to be, buckle up. AMD seems to be holding relative strength. Well, AMD guided down. It got absolutely freaking slaughtered, right? Backside of this like weird trend that I still have there. Yeah, I mean, Jordan, I mean, it capitulated on the bathwater, baby with the bathwater news. I mean, this thing is back at, this is not even from 2020. Yeah, it's, again, I mean, these are the laggards. I don't really, I don't mind people trying to scalp them, but I don't feel like they have much follow through. Like everybody, and here's the difference. No, I know you're not making the trade, but just signs of a bounce. I agree. This is the difference between laggards and leaders, and you always have to remember this in your mind. Laggards that are down are going to find more sellers when they pop because there's more people trapped, right? Think about all the folks caught in here, right? This is a laggard. We agree. XOP. The difference is people who bought in these levels feel pretty comfortable now that it's up near the high. So you don't have this double-edged extra selling pressure from people trying to get back to even. Now, maybe some people up here, but the volume wasn't actually that high up there, which is just more of an exhaustion runoff or run. It's leading now, and more people are more likely to hold because you're making higher lows. So that's really why the psychology of leaders versus laggards matters, right? Like, that's the hardest thing sometimes to realize is like, well, all right, well, do I want to play this name that needs to catch up, or do I just want to leave this crap alone? Because I think a lot of people will see in their trading careers the market move and then them just watch from the sideline. I've been there. We've all done that, right? Like, you look at it, especially if you've traded gold, silver, the miners over the years, those things have been dogs sometimes. And when they are dogs, you just watch the market go and you're like, waving at it like that meme with Harry Potter when he was going to Hogwarts. Bye-bye! And you're at the train station. They're all going to Fun Town, partying. You're watching from the sidelines. Oh, there you go, Nat Gas. Give it to me. So, hope that helps when it comes to those kind of references. Just be aware, there's an insane amount of puts bought on the market. I don't see how the market makers are going to let those pay off. They're going to figure out something. I mean, if you have to coordinate quantitative easing, I don't know. I mean, just people are always like, well, you act like the market's rigged. And it's like, note to self, it is rigged. Remember, what is rule number one of the market? To take the most amount of money from the most amount of players. No one is immune. Oh, I never lose. Well, then you don't trade. Like that's what's going to happen here. So hence, in my opinions, the strongest, best, safest, whatever area to hide out is obviously tech. So not tech. I mean, sorry, commodities. I'm like, stay away from tech. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted. I got a lot of screens going on. I'm going to get people to ask questions from the Discord room. Seems pretty quiet this morning. Anyone got any other questions? Because if not, I'm going to go back into Devon for ID. And you see what I mean? Like the leaders making higher lows here. I mean, it could go back up to the 80. I don't know. It just seems very obvious to me. Like people are buying safety and leaving tech. BPR. What is BPR? Yeah, I don't know what BPR. I was like, I don't even know that. What's BPR, IC Doc? What is BPR? I don't know. It says invalid signal. TLT. Whoo! Sometimes you just leave stuff alone. I mean, I really thought this would hold. Nope. Because you had some capitulation down here. Nope. Nope. Still going lower. Sorry. I mean, again, I've said, and now think about this too. Don't be surprised if today's a trap in the bond market, because there's a lot of markets that aren't. It's like a partially open day. You know, was it Columbus Day? Yeah. The bond market's closed, so the TLT is getting all of the action. If they're selling bonds, it seems like they're just selling the TLT. So be safe out there. All right, if there's no questions, I might just let it roll and out. James, that's smart thinking. Honestly, I mean, I'm not personally taking that trade because I've staying focused on gas and oil names and CF. Good God, CF, you go, girl. I think at this point, it should hold. I mean, it's getting a little extreme. Let me look at this. Let me zoom out. I mean, I think the next monthly support, yeah. Here, check this out, y'all. The next monthly support is, can y'all see that pretty well? It's that 99-100 area. 98 to 100. That's all I got. What am I sorry, getting questions from the Discord room. EQT, point of control. I agree. It's clearly in the 44 area. 44, 45. I mean, I've already got it drawn up. And the 100 days holding. And again, not surprised it pulled back here. Nat gas isn't like taking off. But nat gas is down here. EQT is up here. So I like it. I like it a lot. Let me bounce around to more questions. James, what are your thoughts on uranium? I personally don't play it, but do you group it with the commodity list? Yeah, I put that on the commodity list. I know CCJ is getting cooked today. Oh, maybe not. No, it's not. I personally like uranium. It's got like this cult following where everyone's all in it. I think it's gonna get smoked first. So that's all. Put that in the basket. What are my thoughts on the CPI? I think we all know the CPI Thursday. They're expecting 0.2%. Previous was 0.1. The core was they're expecting is 0.4 versus core of 0.6. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty flat. And so how that gets URA getting smoked, yeah, I don't know how this. Let me focus one thing at a time. CPI, personally, it could be a bullish event. Keep in mind what is coming up. Start of earnings. You have the financials doing their earnings on Thursday, Friday. Everyone knows they're going to be bad. Lending's down. The reaction is key. You could get a relief rally into the options expiration. Back to uranium. URA. Let me pull that up. Is there news on this one? My friend. That's pretty. I mean, again, this is the thing about uranium. It doesn't. Some of these names don't really look that great. No? Is there like a secondary trend? Nope. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on some of this. No news? Okay, well, that's just bearish then. But, man, the volume isn't huge. I mean, very clear that if you see it at the 19 level, that should probably hold. That'd be my guess. That's the point of control. Let me get back into it. Who asked me? I remember what? No news. Where'd it go? SQM. I remember SQM. Sociedad Química, right? Correct? I think so. Man, I remember when this thing IPO'd. And then it went nuts during the 2000s. Chili. Not cold chili. You got the point of control here in the upper 80s. If it makes a higher low, maybe it should bounce and pop. I mean, you could, you know how it is. If you drew like your 10-minute, you could probably just draw a trend line if it goes. It just seems to be in the consolidation phase. It's not really bearish or bullish at the moment, in my opinion, but it could turn bullish if commodities start to pop again, which I think they will at some point. Which, no, not they will at some point. I'm sorry. Like, man, I got too many. When people ask too many questions, I try to answer them all at once. My brain just can't ignore it. It's my brain. If it takes. This is why I'm very careful with what I present myself when it comes to news or stimulus. Like I gotta stay very calm in the sense of not being overstimulated by too much news or charts. Like, you have to be very focused because my brain will get easily distracted trying to look at everything. And I mean, we're all kind of wired that way. Think about it. If you get too many distractions, next thing you know, you can't focus on anything. I mean, I'm going to put this back on the list. I totally forgot about SQM because I know SQM. Y'all have to remember in the 2000s when I cut my teeth into trading, and I loved the commodities bull market because it was just stupid. It was so stupid. And I say stupid in a good way. And the reason why I say stupid in a good way is because you had smaller companies getting tech kind of momentum. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. All right, let me go back to the Discord room. So if it comes in lower than or economy, I mean, again, the economy is flatlining. This is the thing about the market, and I think you're going to start to see this. GDP is slightly negative, 1% approximately. The market's priced in a 25 to 30% correction. We need more bad data and the Fed's not to pivot. How do we get more bad data and the Fed's not to pivot? The answer is easy. Commodities rally, commodities rally, commodities rally. Because then they can't pivot. That's how you get the next leg down. And then obviously commodities will get hit at some point, but they should make higher lows. Do y'all see that? Does that make sense how this all plays out? If you're going to write the narrative for how to get the market to take the next leg lower aggressively. Yeah, lithium mining. Yep, I remember that. SQM. I think they got some other mining too, right? With SQM. Yeah, it's been a while since I've paid attention to them. But that's how I think the market takes the next leg down, and you'll see it within all of commodities, right? It won't just be like oil or gas. It'll be all of them. They'll take everything down with it. it'll just mean they're going to be their goal. If they're going to raise rates and crush it and pull out liquidity. But the problem is this the thing is, I think it doesn't work because they have a supply issue. It's not like an overabundantly supplied market. It's an undersupplied market. So they're not trying, they can't, all they can do is just try to create demand destruction, and it can work temporarily. But maybe they try to institute like another COVID kind of stupid whatever. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that crap. SPY going to need some volume to break 361. Let's take a look at it. Going back to the Discord room. No, you'll get nothing when you call. Yeah, I don't really see it breaking yet. I mean, I'm looking at the 10-minute. I don't see any volume. It just looks like a bunch of Monday fluff. The Monday fluffer nutter. Thoughts on the FOMC minutes? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to come out and repeat exactly what they said to the Feds. Again, that's always the joke about the Fed minutes is if you know what minutes are when it refers to some sort of meeting, you know that all they're doing is taking notes of what was talked about. And so it's somehow being repeated to the public and being interpreted differently is hilarious to me because it's literally what they talked about. It's in the notes. You know, it's what they were pressing in their press conference. So for the notes to come out, which is crazy how long it takes considering technology. I mean, their minutes should be released shortly after. I mean, again, it's just a bunch of repeating of the same kind of comments, and usually there's always a few boogeyman lines in it that will be like, they're doing this, they're doing that, and everything else is just doesn't matter. Let me see what else everyone's talking about. All right, very odd action. The dollar. Let's talk about the dollar. Let's talk about the dollar because that is a good one. Looks like it's doing what? So here's a little interesting thing about the dollar. And you guys, I mean, have you ever noticed this too? Sometimes, again, it doesn't have to be. You get retests, right? You get retests to chop. You get double tops, triple tops, double bottoms. I mean, it's a lover of the retest. Here's the big W pattern. So we'll see. I mean, if it's going back up to the highs, I think one of the things too about the dollar, and we all have to agree on this, is what the velocity of the dollar movement determines to a lot of fear-based thought processes, right? It's like the dollar is moving insanely fast, something is wrong. The market's going to sell first, ask questions later. 13 cents on the UP, DXC moving. We'll see. I mean, it's all getting very binary now, and I think this is what... Oh, AG is green. Interesting. Pretty binary in the sense that just look at the levels, y'all. I mean, it's... Now, if we gap below it and tomorrow and you got longs, you stop out, That happens. Maybe it just does this. Has to go slightly lower. I don't know. Personally think that the sentiment, yeah, you're getting closer to the midterm. The sentiment is so bearish, knowing that going into election, the powers that be that clearly love this idiot and all these idiots in charge around the world are going to try to soothe the markets. I don't think it's going to work, but I think they're going to try to do something, announce something, say something stupid, which we all know. That's just, they'll try to, I don't think they're going to announce the pivot. I mean, did y'all see on Twitter, Kathy Woods wrote a letter to the Feds to pivot? Are they really listening to her? Probably not. Pretty funny though. Any other questions? I mean, I can kind of rant about other things. I mean, solar. I mean, I want to see solar pop. Now, this is what's going to be great is I don't think solar is going to be able to get back to the highs. But watch oil and gas, right? Like there's this implied, correlation from oil and gas rising and what? Solar holding up. Oh, the cost of oil and gas are going higher. I'm going to buy more solar for my house. No, you're not. Stuff is way too expensive, and it's not effective. I mean, your lease payments take over your energy bills. Doesn't seem very logical. Let me spend $20,000 and have a $200 a month payment for the next 20 years. Guess what? My energy bills were $200. Hey, look at that. No. Now, again, maybe at a certain point, energy bills, that will make sense, but not near term. Not as people are struggling for livelihood. That's not, demand is down. Maybe next year, maybe in the commodities bull market. Maybe that's the thing. First solar goes, maybe these solar, I keep saying first solar, but maybe solar does pop during the commodities bull market if oil and gas do. This is the hardest thing about the future of this. Let's like pretend like we know what the future is. Like, is it binary or is everybody welcome? Meaning, do commodities run, or is it just like commodities X oil and gas? Like, is the solar tech, I don't know, battery powered uranium future, or is it all commodities with oil and gas? We shall see. I mean, you definitely need oil and gas for inputs in certain parts of the economy, but does that change at a certain point? Do you still, you get rid of your natural gas power plants? Do you go get rid of gas? They're going to regulate gasoline. California, get rid of all combustion engines. Silly. But, I mean, we don't know. I mean, the key has to be wireless charging. Sorry to go on a tangent here, but that has to be the key. Electric companies are charging fees of solar customers for not using power from the grid. Oh, of course, yeah. Solar's, it's a nice little gift if you buy a house. Buying it after the fact, I don't really see much value. If the dollar makes a double top and turn down, it's very bullish for commodities. I would agree with that, ID Doc. I would totally agree. Or what if the dollar's making a lower high? Just in general. What if it can't get up there? Any other questions? I mean, I appreciate everybody. Appreciate the love. Just the ability to talk about this. Again, the goal of the Discord room is to have a room full of people all see the market through the probability mindset. Nobody's there selling gimmicks or junk, just in a sense of, because I'm not going to be around, you're not going to be around. Just being able to have a reliance on people that you trust for actual information versus going to StockTwits, going to Twitter, going to some crappy news outlet to try to see what's the market doing. Well, they said Billy Bob said this. Kramer said that. Sorkin said he's an idiot. Oh yeah, that's right, he is. Yeah, just trying to have a reliable network. CF, yeah, I'm with you, bro. I mean, I think 112. There's a gap at 112, 113. That's my first target for CF, James. Man, tech is just Amazon new lows, CRM new lows, trying to pull the market. SPY. Oh crap! I didn't realize SPY is making. Are we making new lows? We're at them. Tesla flat. CCJ low of the day. Financials taking it. Seeing a lot of red in the tech. Who else is making new lows? SMH not making new lows. Oh, Meta, of course. Every new lows list every day. Every day. Tech is junk. HYG, that's interesting. That it's making. Testing lows, corporate debt. Again, these are things that you should watch. On the background, don't sit here and stare at HYG all day. It ain't that important. Nat gas still holding up. EQT still positive. Oil flat. CF beast mode, like Marshawn Lynch. GDXJ, yeah, JNUG still holding up. I mean, let's look at gold. Oh, here, I'll pull up gold real quick. Broke the 20-day. I was watching that gap down, and it's like, that is just a huge gap on what I perceive to be FUD. Look at the volume. I personally think that if the markets hold up and commodities hold up, gold's going to bounce right back. Now, I don't know if we make new highs. I think the 50-day comes back into play. I got an alert. Silver's down. Silver's down. I get at max every day, but it's at the 2050 day. Goes from 1960 down to 18 pretty quickly. I think the first dips get bought because it is going to be a commodity bull market that comes out of this. So I'd anticipate it. Yeah, let's just keep an eye on the SPY. Any other questions? Any other questions? I mean, again, when the commodity bull market starts, it's going to be the daily market recap for commodities. It's not going to be the daily market recap for the whole market. It's just going to be stocks, oil, gold, silver. Maybe instead of Bitcoin, change it to commodities, or I don't know. We'll see how Bitcoin survives. It might not. Pro gap on the GLD. Keep in mind, this is the thing about silver, or sorry, not silver, the dollar, silver, gold, some of the commodities. The gaps on these ETFs aren't as reliable because, look, there's endless gaps because of overnight action. Honestly, I'm just looking at the levels. I would anticipate it holds this. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be an exact shoulder line or not. I would anticipate it holds somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, that connect. I would anticipate it holding somewhere around here. But November calls for the SPY. Ooh, I wouldn't go that far out. No, I would go like next week. I mean, once you get through the CPI and into earnings, remember, earnings are traditionally bullish. When do you see companies come out and say the world is ending? Usually they try to sugarcoat and put a spin on things that, hey, the worst might be behind us, because they don't want to tank their stocks. Remember, their bonuses and all of their incentives are based on what? Stock performance, right? So be aware of that. And then you have the buyback blackout, which typically seems bearish, but that's when they pump the hardest. So we'll see. I mean, we're at very, interesting inflection points. Man, come on, SPY. Hold the line. Watching the 10-minute. Let me just bring it in for you. This is what could be a sweet little trapper. Oh. I mean, you could see, let's watch this live, because we talk about traps. People talk, I mean, again, we always assume retests, right? And again, when I say always, what do you assume retest? I mean, like in the sense of like, you don't expect V moves, right? The V move is usually triggered by potentially news or news. I mean, I'm trying to think like usually it's news or some sort of like after the move starts and more news kind of thing. So as you come down to the lows, it is lunchtime, right? Yeah, it's the lunch special in New York. You make a slightly lower low, but look at the volumes. Like, this is just not that much conviction. But this is the thing. Like, is there certain news out there? Because this is, I mean, do I need to? Should probably check briefing.com. Let's see what's going on in the world. Because it probably could be Ukraine related. And this is the thing. Like, people keep posting this crap in the Discord room about Ukraine. Yeah, I got it. It's just like COVID, the fifth variant. Like, at a certain point, like the market, you have to remember this about the market. It can price in what it knows. At a certain point, Ukraine, Russia stuff, it just accentuates what's going to happen later. We all know that, right? Okay, Diamond was flapping over in EU about talking recession. Yeah, I mean, EU is definitely going to recession. Their CPIs are not coming back down. I mean, they're burning their energy bills over there. And we're going to supply them with all the oil and gas they need for the winter. That's like the irony of all of this. Right? Here you guys go. All the oil and gas you need for the winter. Okay, well, if you take out the lows, right? Watch what happens. This is the thing about 10-minute trading, as I like to say it. That's why I prefer it. Watch what happens. Now, I'm pretty sure that's the let me see if that's the daily low. Sometimes I copy and paste. This is what I love about Q charts, is you can share a level to any chart. No, that's cool. He's talking recession. I mean, he's just talking his stock down right in front of earnings. He's probably good at that. Yeah, here you go. Here's that level. Oh, I need this to hold for my SPY stuff. Yeah, and water is not wet. No, exactly. Let's see the 10-minute again. Because if he's talking and man, you gotta love dojis and then inflection points. Let me see what's going on. I'm getting a bunch of notifications. Usually I get a lot of text and weird messages too at inflection points. People freaking out like, hey, what's going on? Hey, did you see this? Hey, this is going to happen. Hey, world's ending. And then the market rips around. Where's the VIX? Oh, my VIX is delayed. I always forget that with these charts, unfortunately. What do we got? 33.52. Yeah, here you go. This is a link that just came out. Someone posted on the Discord room. Thank you. Check this out. Recession. I mean, this is why we keep saying we anticipate another leg down. I mean, it is not surprised. No one should be surprised. If you want to short, go ahead. I personally would not be shorting the lows because this is the thing about the volatility of the market. Let me go back to the daily. If this is a repeat, oh wow, I'm so zoomed in. If this is a repeat, this is going to get the pop, and you're going to get the pop. And when you get the pop into earnings, maybe into, I don't know. Honestly, you don't know sometimes. You really don't know. But we need to it needs to break. I mean, we can watch this live. It's holding 359s again, 359.20. The problem with this is the thing about the news, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say this over and over and over. There's literally people in our Discord room that all they do is they post news and noise all day. I say this over and over. Let me say it over and over and over. So take a note. The news is what? It's a tool for the media to do what? Get people to act emotional. 90% of the news, I mean, I'd actually say 95%, it doesn't matter. The news that I read this morning that mattered, Bank of England extending their buying for bonds. That to me matters. Jamie Dimon talking about a recession that everybody knows is here or is coming doesn't matter. Posting that headline doesn't matter. Oh, because he said it out loud? Now it matters? I mean, do you see my point on this? Like, it doesn't matter. It's not like it's not. And again, the market's very good at pricing in what it knows. Did he release something that no one didn't know? No one didn't know. I think that's double negatives. Man, I need to drink more coffee. No. Everybody knew that. I'm still anticipating a recession. Now, again, this is the thing about the market. The market and the economy are not the same. I always have to, that's why a lot of times news doesn't matter as well. How many times have you seen in a bull market where the GDP is just barely positive? We just make new higher highs. It just keeps going to higher highs. Climbs the wall of worry. Everyone's bearish. The whole bull market up to the very last moment. So now that we're at these inflection points, what takes us lower? Higher commodity prices, y'all. And we're not done. I don't think we're done. Hence, the rotation. Money is rotating. If it's coming out of tech, it's going somewhere. Just keep that in mind. Is it going to bonds? Is it going to tech, into other tech? Going into financials? Where's it going? Hello, Moto. It's going to commodities, y'all. I mean, it's very simple. Let's see how it plays out. Oil's barely up. UNG gave back some gains back at 23. EQT is flat. Let me guess. CF is, it's still over 107. I thought it'd be in 106s. Any questions? I'm going to wrap this up. Does this make sense, though? Like, the money is not destroyed. There isn't, when the market drops, a bucket of money that just gets burned. No, it's a zero-sum game. Someone's winning, someone's losing. Does this make sense? So this money that now is gone from winners to, losers to winners, they're going to do something with it. So try to keep it pretty simple. Here we go, 358. Do we need to act? Hit some stops on things if needed on the last SPY buys. Gave him approximately like $1. TLT, dollar, VIX. What's the VIXs? VIX is tempting to make. Man, IWM, barely down. 167. That's... Money's rotating, y'all. We'll see what happens here. Any questions before we wrap it up? I appreciate all the love, support. This isn't easy. People are looking for certainty. If you're looking for certainty, don't trade. That's the one thing you should always take in your mind. If you're unsure, you're not comfortable, you don't know what you think is going to happen, you're not confident, don't trade. It's better to not lose than lose, obviously. I mean, that seems very obvious. But the point being is if the experience and comfort and the risk is exorbitant in your mind and you can't sleep, you don't feel comfortable, you're not eating well, you're tired, you're lethargic, you're frustrated, you're moody. I mean, all these things. They're showing you that the market's wearing on you. You have to be the barometer of your own emotions and how you feel. And if this is too much, take a break. Market's going to be open every day of the week, other than Saturday and Sunday, except for holidays going forward. So you're not missing anything, all right? SPX, are we even back down to 3? No, we're getting close. I hope this helps. I mean, just keep that in mind, y'all. This is the hardest thing you learn about trading. Sometimes the best trade is no trade. Some people don't recognize that. All right. Watch 359, 360. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it broke 360. And it's like, no, that's why we started buying 359s in the SPY, because they expect what? You got to hit stops. You got to hit the stops, right? SPX probably needs to get back down to 3,600, which we're coming in hot. A lot of retests. Let me see the ES futures. 2 seconds. And then I'll wrap it up. Yeah, your mental capital is something that you have to preserve. Yeah, we still get, man, I didn't realize it. I forgot 35.70. I mean, you still got room down on that from 10.3, which was last Monday. Monday, Tuesday. Trying to see if there's like a Monday. Like, again, you get these weird, like, repeating daily patterns. I don't see anything very extraordinary. Yeah. Mental capital. Save it. Preserve it. And again, that was one of the things about in the Livermore book. He talked about, his ability to either trust his instincts, but also trust his instincts of something was wrong. If something's wrong, it doesn't seem right. Again, if I was a bear, I was looking at this action, I'd be going, why the hell are oil and gas flat? Nasdaq's down. SPY is down because it's got a lot of Tesla and Apple. But then you look at the IWM and you look at the Dow and you go, what? You're like, wow, the Dow, SPY's down 1%. You're like, Nasdaq's down, what is it? 1.6. You look at the Dow down 170 points. Not looking too bad. Know your stops. Maybe this is the Monday waterfall continuation for the Friday, Monday effect. Island floating reversal. I mean, you could paint the picture, bearish or bullish. Let the levels speak. That's ultimately the goal here. All right. Appreciate y'all. Hit me up if you got any questions. When in doubt, stop out. Always preserve capital, preserve mental capital. Later.